We're back online, and so we've just finished our closed session, and mayoral minute 4-22 was passed in closed session. Passed, and that just have it noted that
yes.
Yeah. And just noted that Councillor Councillor Hall and Councillor Kai left the.
No, you don't write. You only put that on last, and then when it's actually written. Sorry.
Oh, is it?
Sorry. If you don't write, that goes in the voting.
Yeah.
So that goes in the.
Oh well, it was voted as in.
I think if you want to write anything, you just put down the mayoral minute, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Has been dealt with, voted on, and that's it.
Yeah, but for the motion and against the motion.
You have to put the voting record.
No.
You do.
Mr. Hewson?
No, you don't.
Yeah, just with that, we just want to
No, you don't.
do we put the voting down on the closed session, and that
Not.
two councillors left the room during the closed session?
Yes, we will. Yes,
They will do that, but
yeah, we'll do that. We'll do
Yeah,
that,
okay.
Mr. Bear.
Okay.
So I'll catch up with Mr. McQuaid and then on how we vote.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Questions to the Mayor, nil. Questions with notice, nil. Reports to Traffic Committee.
Oh, I can't move it. I wasn't there. Who was there?
you weren't allowed to be there.
Traffic.
There was an issue with the.
So I tried to ring you about it.
There's an issue with the.
Tried to ring you saying.
Oh well, can we do this at the next meeting? Can we transfer that to the next meeting?
It's just minutes, yeah?
Oh,
It
okay.
has the minute accurate. We're not changing it.
Yeah, you don't.
All right.
If you weren't there, you can just vote.
All right.
Okay, mover. Councillor seconder. Councillor Reddy. Okay, motion. So Councillor Dasa, you have the floor.
A second.
Okay. Do I have a second for the motion?
Oh, that was quick.
Councillor Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now, before I start, I have to say that I have to put an addition to that. So the motion has been broken into two parts. I read the way I have put it, so you know the second part is. Okay. I read the motion first. That Strathfield Council writes to the state government of New South Wales by 30th of April 2022, requesting it to write to the federal government, confirming it is supportive of the proposal of the referendum to amend the Australian Constitution to give the Australian federal government the power to fund local government and to enshrine people's rights to democratically elect their council, as it promised to the local government and Shires Association before the 2011 state election, and also request that it undertakes a statewide civil campaign to inform the public on the proposed constitutional changes, recognize local government and its benefits. So that was my motion. I will added a small part to it, second part, that council submit a motion for the National General Assembly of Local Government by Friday 25 March of 2022, requesting that the Australian federal government hold a referendum to amend the Australian Constitution to give the Australian federal government the power to fund local government and to re-enshrine people's rights to democratically elect their council as promised at the local government and Shires Association conference before the 2011 state election. So essentially, Mr. Mayor and Councillors, it is really additional part where the motion, as a result of this motion, if we approve that, then the council will put some paperwork and write to the National General Assembly of Local Government by 25th March to follow up on this particular motion. So essentially that's the official administrative work. That's I put through. And the rationale, as you probably know, some of you who were involved with the amalgamation, you know that the government of New South Wales, led forced merger of many councils in New South Wales over the past decade, promising at the time economies of scale, and many councils and councillors fell into the trap. Time has proved over the last 5 years, we have proved that those were false economies promised by people sitting in responsible positions, including the then government of New South Wales, ran by the Liberals. Strathfield View was one of the few councils who fought bravely against this plot of the then Liberal state government of New South Wales and won. As a result, Strathfield is still standing as an independent council. Some of the merged councils, merged at that time, they are now going through another hesitation process to demerge the merged councils. It is now established that Strathfield, that independent council, such as Strathfield, provides better service to local residents. As the federal government election is approaching, it is time for the referendum proposal to be initiated. This referendum will not only ensure long-term viability of local government, local independent councils, but also will ensure that the economic sustainability and protect them from any future short-sighted, similar misguided initiatives by any other future governments. The success of this initiative will stop any future similar initiative by any other government. So, having said this, Mr. Mayor, Mrs. Deputy Mayor, and the councillors.
Please don't call me Mrs.
Miss Deputy Mayor or
Not Miss
Deputy
either,
Mayor.
just
Request
Deputy
Madam
Mayor.
Deputy Mayor.
No, not Madam, no, just Deputy Mayor.
Deputy Mayor.
No title.
Mayor and Deputy Mayor and councillor, I would urge you to support this motion and make sure that in the future no other government or any other person dare touching the local governments. Thank you.
Thank you. The seconder, any,
I'd actually like to thank Councillor Dara on this motion. I think it's a fabulous motion, and the reason I think it's a fabulous motion is because I believe it might have been 2015, 2016, something like that. A very similar bill came before the federal parliament, and you wouldn't believe who actually was talking about this. One Nation. Of all the parties, the minor party was the one that actually got behind the people. A minor party, not the major parties, a minor people. I believe the Liberal Democrats got behind it. I believe the Greens got behind it. All the minor parties got behind this, but not Labor and not Liberal, just the minor parties, just the independents. So I'm glad to see that the major parties have come to their senses, Councillor Dara, and you've done a great job because this was done, has already been tried in the federal parliament. So let's keep going and never forget. Sorry, I watched too much parliament. Thank you, Councillor Dara.
Thank you.
okay, any further debate, councillors? No, please note that Councillor Five left the room as well. I'll put all those in favour. Unanimous. Councillor Five. You okay,
Oh.
Councillor Five? Yes, all good?
Which, do you want to vote? Yeah, unanimous. A late vote.
Councillor Dara?
Mr. Mayor,
This one.
the second one.
I'm seconding it.
Councillor Pensolini?
Second one, thank you, Councillor Considine, Deputy Mayor, Madam Deputy Mayor.
No, Madam.
Okay.
Councillor Pennsylvania.
For a short meeting.
Just councillor.
I move that Strathfield Council writes to the state government by 30th of May 2022, asking it to review its policy on private certification of residential development, as it has been causing great distress and financial suffering to many residents across New South Wales. That the council officers prepare a brief for councillors, updating councillors of council's view on this issue and any limitations on council's abilities to inspect and enforce DA conditions of consent, which are not being met, and present it to the council at its May 2022 meeting, which is a couple of months from now. The rationale, from many examples, starting local people I have met, from mascot to Olympic Park, it has been evident that the practice of private certification is not serving the best interests of citizens anywhere in New South Wales. On many occasions, the properties certified by private certifiers are non-compliant with council planning rules and regulations. Dodgy developers and shonky builders across New South Wales have been given the green light by the previous premier to cut corners and leave consumers footing the bill across New South Wales. We all know that happening in Mascot, in Homebush, in many other places. The problem with private certifiers is that they are dependent on builders and developers for their livelihood. If they are too strict and insist on every part of the work being done exactly as it should be, then the work will go to certifiers who are willing to overlook certain matters. It's like what we saw there in the parliament the other day. The secretary was shopping for opinions, to going to various consultants saying, I want this opinion, who of you can give it to me? You can't, I will take you. You can, well, I'll buy you. So this, it's a blind to see it is going to happen. But unfortunately, Mr. Mayor, the previous premiers, the governments of New South Wales, they couldn't see it. I do not know why they missed it, but there seems to be an obvious conflict of interest in the mechanism of private certifiers who are private businesses and paid by builders or owners certifying development. It is time this certification work to be returned to the appropriate governance body. The way the risk of certifiers being captured by the very people they are supposed to be monitoring is minimized. It is time that private certification be stopped. Thank you, and I, Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Councillors, I really ask you and urge you to support this, because I know people living in Strathfield who have spent penny by penny to buy a unit. The units have been finished years ago. Still they are not getting approbation. And I have worked in the council to find out, to help them. It is very difficult. Very difficult. And the reason why they are not getting approbation, because they are certified, the private certifier, they are not responding. So they have paid $700,000, $800,000 for a unit. The unit is apparently being completed, but people cannot get approbation into it. So there are complicated issues, and I have spoken with various officers here.
Councillor, you've just got 1 minute, just so you know. 1 minute left on the clock.
Okay, thank you. So I ask you all to support this and stop private certification process from all of New South Wales. It will be a great start. Thank you all.
Thank you. Any further debate? Councillor Hall?
Councillor Gunner, would you mind adding something to your point 2, which is something very, very simple, and that is that council ought to prepare a brief which includes the parliamentary inquiry into private certifiers? So there was a parliamentary inquiry, and because
there was.
I actually forgot to look it up, I was too busy, but think that out, that works, but there was an inquiry, and it'd be good to see what the
We
recommendation.
include the highlights of the inquiry. I have seen the report, they're very thick.
Yeah.
So I would say we include the highlights of the one.
Yeah, the recommendation. Thanks.
You accept that amendment, Councillor Dada?
Yes.
And Councillor Kingston, you're the seconder? Yes, good. Further debate? No? I'll put the motion, councillors. All those in favour?
Yeah, all.
Yep.
Is that everyone?
Councillor Clark?
Ben,
How?
supporting the motion?
No? Okay.
Oh.
So all those in favour? Okay. So Councillors Daka, Mahaswaran, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Hall. Okay,
Okay,
again,
the next one.
but
Hang
again,
on. Chai and ready.
yeah, you're voting against? Yes? Okay.
The motion calls for you to something subject to the parliamentary review.
Doesn't matter.
Not reviewing the parliamentary review.
That's okay. It's okay. We don't need to,
Yeah.
don't need to discuss it. Yeah, don't worry.
Okay, councillor Data, your next motion.
You've
Do I have
already
a second
decided
for that?
that, Councillor Dutton.
Councillor Hall, second. Now, councillor, just before you.
It's already started 3 minutes.
Yeah, well, we're cutting it short.
We changed the time for councillor Data.
We're cutting it short, Councillor Data.
Now, councillor, I think, before you start, I just want to make a comment, if I can just get some, comment through to the acting general manager. We've had motions about this in the report, is this different to what we're doing, or what's the situation? Or,
Same.
yeah?
Excuse me,
Yes, please.
there was a motion moved by council before in relation to parking issues of Pirelli, what we can do to improve it. So this is basically.
This is different. Let me explain. I think, let me explain this. This is a particular thing. It is not the same one that my do.
I'll
Let
take
me
you,
explain and
please, then we'll make the explanation.
This motion that, as I said, this motion came about after I received some calls from the people living at the back side of the Pirelli Avenue, where, not the main Pirelli Avenue, it's the back of the Pirelli Avenue where people go in the park. I do not know, it's single Pirelli Avenue, Centenary Park, if you like, yes.
Okay.
So that council prepares a comprehensive plan. That council prepares a comprehensive plan for addressing the reasonable parking issues at the Pirelli Avenue precinct and present it to the council at its 2022 meeting. Now, I acknowledge that there might have been confusion. This motion is about the parking space people have at the back of the Centenary Park. I think that makes it more specific. There are many units and there aren't enough parking.
But that's a private road.
If I could just through the mayor, deputy CEO.
Three councillors, that Pirelli Avenue is private road. So, all Pirelli, so every part of the state is private road. We don't have any control of that.
No, I'm talking about, I'm just let me say, I'm talking about the place where the parking is. Let me finish the motion and then we can debate about it, okay?
Right.
So let me finish the motion.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
Point of order, sorry. Can we just specify what the actual spot that you're talking about? Where
Yes, clock, so I can say.
Stop the clock.
I'll extend your time.
Okay, so what it is, we are talking about the specific area as if we go through the turn left, go through the Pirelli Avenue, then turn right again to the main gate.
Yeah.
That's inside where all the units are.
Yeah, that's private
It's a
road.
private road,
That's
councillor.
right.
That's why we left.
We can't do anything about that.
But what about if those people are not going to park?
That's their problem, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, councillor, I'll get, some
Yes,
of the
Stephen.
deputy CEO familiar with this.
Through council data, that is the private road. Those parking restrictions that are there now are set by Strata. Okay? And they have got us in before. We don't have any control of that. The police do not have any control. The Strata there has made certain requirements. So they've got the 1 hour, they've got 2 hours, they've got some no stopping. If you go underground to those units, those parking spaces are empty. Because people want to park at the top. So what the Strata did was to put some parking restrictions at the top so that people can drive around. But we've got no jurisdiction there. I can't even send rangers in there.
But apparently, what I'm being said, that what I've been said, is there are some no parking areas, and people are parking there, and rangers are also trying
don't book there.
They don't book
We
there.
don't do that.
Okay,
No,
so
Councillor Data, I would recommend, if it is talking about an area which we don't, we actually can't enforce.
We have no jurisdiction.
We've got no jurisdiction. My recommendation would be to probably withdraw this motion at the moment, but that's your call.
Now, I would suggest that, as a result of this motion, instead of withdrawing, we make it prepare a communication, because people over there are blaming council. So, instead of withdrawing the motion, which I do not think would be the most appropriate action, then in respect of the motion, we prepare a communication and send the communication out to all the residents, so that they know what they are doing. Maybe there is some other action they might have to take. Because at this point in time, they are blaming the council that we are living here and the council is not doing anything. As you can see, I myself didn't know anything. So I think this is, we have to be smart. We have to tell what we can or cannot do, and we have to communicate that. They are still our ratepayers. And if they do not know that we are,
Councillor, are you making an amendment to say that council writes to residents within that precinct to inform them that that is a private road? Is that what you're trying?
Well, can I just make it a little bit easier? I will be having a meeting with the head of the Strata Committee, and they're calling to meet with Mr Clements, and I was going to be doing that this week, to organise a meeting with Mr Clements, and I think it's up to Strata to let residents know that it's a private road and council cannot implement any changes to those roads.
No, I think we have been to this Strata meetings. I think that's a good process, and I think that can be a complementary process. I have no issues with that. But I think I think I would probably take the suggestion of, as a mayor suggested, that the council communicates to each and every resident formally that though there is a parking issue there, they know, but it is the council.
Can we get
has
that?
no jurisdiction.
We'll need to get
Some wording.
some proper wording, and then you need to ask Councillor Hall's seconder for the motion if she agrees.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So
council, this one there, council writes to all residents of the Crowley Avenue precinct to notify residents that this is a private road and council has no jurisdiction. I think Councillor Hall, I don't know if you accept that, but I would say that we'll probably have to be more specific about Centenary Park.
I think it has to be a little bit more specific, so let's fix it up. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Council, come on. Mr. You're the person.
No, that's okay. I'm reading it out. That council writes to all residents in the, not the Crowley Avenue precinct, in Centennial Park. So let's change that.
Yes.
In the Centennial Park
Centenary Park
area.
Precinct is fine.
And they are what? Because there probably are, I can understand what Councillor Dad is saying, there's probably some tenants there who wouldn't attend the Strata meeting. And there's
Hardly anybody attends the meeting. I know, I go there. I know
okay.
hardly anybody attends.
Yep. Can we get the timer back on, please?
That the council writes to all residents in the Centenary Park precinct, notify the residents that the road in that area is a private road.
And it's controlled by Strata.
And it's controlled by Strata.
And it's controlled by Strata, yes.
I don't like jurisdiction.
Controlled by Strata. Council, full stop, the council has no jurisdiction.
No, don't put the jurisdiction first.
The council has no
Control.
control over the parking issue in that area.
Yep. In the
Centenary Park precinct.
Centenary Park precinct, yes, that's okay. The residents are advised to contact the Strata management to organize suitable parking arrangements for the residents. So that's the new motion.
Are you happy with that, Councillor Hall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes, any
For
debate?
this one,
If you're debating,
sometimes, you know, they.
sorry, one
second.
second.
Oh,
If
sorry.
you're debating, you're finished?
Hang on, you've got to sit down first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Debate?
I think, you know, this one, a little bit argument about, you know, the private, land or something. Because, sometimes, you know, the ranger do go there to book when people, yeah. It's
I
sometimes.
have been told that, so you better make sure that it doesn't happen, because I have been told on.
You haven't, someone can book.
But I've been told that the Strata actually doesn't mind that, because then it stops people parking in the
So,
wrong area.
you better make sure, because it is going to come back. I have been told on a number of occasions that councillor rangers in the morning, people are going around the park in the midnight, at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. And in the morning, before they can move their car, some ranger is going there and blocking them with the fine.
Yeah, I heard that.
Okay.
I'll check that.
Thank you. Any further debate, councillors? No, you're happy with the,
Have to change a motion?
everything's good? Okay, I'll put the motion, all those in favour? Unanimous?
Second, next
Next
one.
motion, councillor Dada.
And I second the next
Do I have
one.
a
No,
seconder?
I got the next.
Do I
I've
have a
got the next
seconder?
No, I got the next one too.
No, that's mine.
Oh,
No,
which one's that one?
when I call for it, I'll take the motion.
The competing one.
So when I call for a seconder, we'll take it.
I've already given
So
it.
this one's seconded by councillor Hall.
I thought it-
Councillor Dada, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the council organize appropriate illumination and lighting of the pathway that connects Erie Park to Melville Reserve and provide a report to inform the council by May 2022 when this task to address the residents' safety concerns might be completed. The rationale: the population of the area has greatly increased over the recent years. And there are many, many more residents who are using this local park, the Melville Reserve or the Erie Park. And the winter approaching, the days will be very, very short. And there is no, and I repeat it, there is no lighting on the pathway that connects the Erie Park to the Melville Reserve. Currently, the pathway that connects Erie Park to the Melville Reserve has no light at all. Given that winter is approaching, it will start to get dark much earlier. Many have raised safety concerns over this matter, and it needs to be addressed as soon as possible. So, councillors, Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, I request you and urge you to support this motion. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Hall?
Can I, just through the chair, to, Mr. Hewson, cost implications. Do we need to put something in there about cost implications, or?
Yeah, that goes in the report.
Or do you think,
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Look,
you want that added to the motion, or?
Just knowing the area concerned, we would probably look at solar powered lights that are approximately about $800 a unit, every 20-30 metres or so. We'd be looking for placement. So it shouldn't, the cost, we certainly should get back to you on what the costs are and happy to share that with you in either a report or at a future workshop.
You don't need it in the motion?
Yeah, we'll put it in, that's fine, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I second.
One second.
Oh, we haven't
Any
voted.
further debate, councillor?
Sorry.
No? Councillor Clark?
Yes, do you mind, here to add a toilet in the park?
I think that's a different,
That's a different
that's a
motion.
different motion, councillor. And just a point of order, when you refer to another councillor, I know you're new, just please refer to councillor Dada. Okay, any further debate?
No.
No, I put the motion. Councillor Clark?
Ben, councillor.
Yeah, unanimous.
I second.
Okay. Notice the motion, councillor Reddy, seconded by, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Reddy, you have the floor.
I move that a report including costs to be provided to the April council meeting on tackling unwanted graffiti by fostering legitimate creative expression and art on buildings in the Strathfield Council area. The report should include but not be limited to details of wall-to-wall mural competition and the perfect match initiative by the Inner West Council and a similar program in other council areas in Sydney and in other capital cities, as well as any other programs run by any other community groups. So, because we've been seeing a lot of graffiti, it's very random comparative to other suburbs. We have lesser problem, but we do have a problem. So if we could make it beautiful and nice and welcoming, and we could accommodate the local artists in getting the art done on the walls, we will encourage the local artists as well.
Okay. And just before you speak,
I don't need to
if you speak, just through the acting general manager, with the street festival programs that have been funded by the state government that we're doing in Homebush, there is actually a artistic component, and can you update the council on those details?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. What I understand is that there's some ephemeral street art that's being applied on different streetscapes in both Homebush and Homebush West, which is something that's applied that it might last 6 months or so beyond the event, and then it's essentially washed away. But I think what Councillor Reddy is talking about is, which will be a great initiative, because it just means you can get some colour and activation in the space and give it a bit of light, and it doesn't really cost that much, and it sort of gives a sense of place. That's what it's all public art's all about, trying to provide a sense of place to an area and give it some character.
We have one permanent mural, I believe, at Homebush West.
Yes, yeah, that will be taking place as well. So, the great thing with Wall to Wall is that you might have a private property owner that is keen to do a mural, and it's about a program of trying to match them with an artist, and that's sort of a win-win for everybody, because quite often the owner might not know just exactly how to go about it, but it's a really good program. Like all these things, you do need a little bit of administration, and it does take a little bit of funding. And the other programs that it matches is just really about how we can perhaps embellish some of our own community facilities to give them a bit of life.
Thank you. Second? No. Councillor Hall?
So this is a good motion, thank you, Councillor Reddy. About maybe 18 months ago, even 2 years, maybe 2 years ago, I sent Mr. Hewson a couple of names of local artists that wanted to do murals in the area. And unfortunately, COVID happened and it didn't sort of progress.
Muriel's wedding.
Councillor.
Mural.
Councillor Hall has the floor.
I'm an immigrant. We just gave acknowledgement that we're immigrants. Thank you.
Sorry.
What I'd like to do is, because Mr. Hughes has already a number of names of local artists, I'm just suggesting, just to make it a bit more grounded, Councillor Reddy, are you able to put in there a number 3 that just says to use local artists? Like, we don't want somebody that's, from the council of, Sydney or something. We want local. There are local artists, and so that it's put in there in the report. Are you okay to put? No. You don't want to use. You don't want to use local artists.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that. I would say whoever is good, they will pick them up. Stay forever. Okay.
But we could look at local artists.
Definitely.
Everyone has to put in their plan.
Definitely, but I don't want to limit myself, the report to be limited to local artists only.
Look, the artist.
It's open for everyone.
Yeah, this is if I can add. The artist that's doing the mural down at Homebush West is a Homebush resident, and local street artist. So I think council's preference obviously is to have local artists, but I think we shouldn't limit it to only local artists.
Yeah,
So
that could be put in the report.
I'm saying we shouldn't limit it, because there are some.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
There are other.
Our preference is obviously always local. Okay. Any further debate, councillor? Thank
you. I wanted to propose an amendment to the motion, if I could. And that would be the additional point 3, which is that council officers are also to report to council on the performance of graffiti removal and investigate the use of graffiti paint in areas not designated for street arts / murals. That's acceptable to move around.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Okay, if we can get some wording, councillor, please.
I can repeat that wording. So the council's officers are to report to council on the performance of council's graffiti removal program and investigate the use of graffiti-proof paint in areas not designated for street art / murals.
Can I just, through myself to Deputy CEO, I believe we currently are doing this with the graffiti paint in the tunnels and.
We're possibly can, council, where we're utilising that, graffiti-proof paint. And when we do our buildings and our walls, on the outside external walls, we're using that. It is difficult, because on private land, we don't have access on the private land, we need to work with the owners. But I'll definitely put a report together for you on the views and what we're trying to use.
Sure. Perhaps I'll specifically clarify, investigate the use of graffiti-proof paint in conjunction with private owners in our town centres.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other question?
Next question, Councillor Hall.
I'm not sure if this is to Mr. Shewton or Mr. Clements. So with the cost, the report calls including costs to be provided, in order for you to provide the cost, you have to determine how many walls. Will you be listing the walls in the report, and how will you be choosing those walls? Is there a process of asking for people that want the art, or how will you designate which wall? And so that's going to include your cost.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. The two programs that the Notice of Motion is asking us to look at really are about, you do an expression of interest process. So we can identify in the report some of our own facilities that could perhaps benefit from public art, or some key sites that we think could benefit. I mean, sites like, just next to Raw Square as you go underneath the railway bridge there, big site that's been talked about in the past, and there are a lot of other underpasses under the railways that people have talked about in the past. But, and we have other community centres and places like that that could well have a mural. But the wall-to-wall program is about getting a database of artists, and then a database of private property owners who may wish to have a mural, and just trying to match them. And then and I suppose we talk about which artists you pick. You do pick the artist that style best suits the site, in terms of what that property owner is trying to realise, whether it be council or someone else.
So you're going to provide expressions of interest, and then then you'll be able to do the report.
That's usually.
So how are you going to?
That's usually how it's done. And then you can bring back proposals to the council.
So then how are you going to do the report by April?
Well, this report's asking us to look into how we could conduct a program like that here, which we can.
Including costs.
Yeah, including costs, and we can give you an estimate of costs.
So
I've been talking with our arts curator just in the past week about a particular mural project in Homebush that one shop owner was interested in, and she was able to provide them with, costs that it would take to undertake that project.
Okay, so you could say you could sort of give an estimate of how
I
much
could
one would cost.
give you an indicative cost per area. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's good.
Were we going to agree on the mural, or are we just going to let you decide? Is it going to come to council on the design?
That's not what the motion says. That's not what the motion says.
It depends on the site. Like a private property owner, we've had to just look at the planning controls in place of that particular premise. It may not require.
All right. Sorry, just a question. Sorry, I'll just. So the bridge underneath the Homebush roundabout, that's always been,
Transport New South Wales.
Oh, is that Transport New South Wales? We can't touch that?
No, we've got through that. 3 years ago, I came to the agreement with Transport New South Wales. That's why that bridge is painted.
Now it's muddy.
Now it's muddy. They need to give us permission to get in and clean it and paint it. If we wanted to do a mural there, we'd be able.
You'd be able to do it? Yeah. Can I just an Aboriginal?
And in relation, if you remember rightly, we had a look at, we had a look at those stick-on murals, the wire.
Yeah.
The original, we had that, we brought that to council one time, wasn't quite what we wanted.
I think
We
that-
have got an agreement to be able to do that. In relation to the type of fuel, what we usually do is, we may not bring it to council, but we talk to artists, and the local artists, to be able to take a lazy down home.
Yep.
And we just make sure that it's not, politically motivated or rude or offensive. That's basically the criteria.
Got it.
So, I mean, just to add to what Mr. Clare said, you know, other councils might form a public arts committee, and might have a couple of councillors or one councillor on it, with a couple of them and an artist from the local area, and then you've got a mechanism then to bring proposals back up as part of their minutes
That makes
to the council.
That's
And that way it's all transparent, you get to know that a project's developing and have some input into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could we make that part of the motion then?
Well, I think
Or will that be part of the report? Yeah, okay.
Look, just a quick comment, I think this is great, and this is obviously with council's, new direction of, we want to have really bring, this area up to, the next level and in line with, a lot of other council areas, and I think this is a really great start. Any further debate? Councillor Barker?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just think one thing that we haven't mentioned here, which is something important too, and that could be taken into consideration. Similar motion I was passed in my first council, where the graphical were, and one of the, and I will be supporting this motion. The reason is, when there is a graffiti and if you put good art there, and that was one of the arguments used at the time, if you put good mural or some art there, then the graffiti people who are doing the graffiti painting, they will not touch it. So by the comment that I am making is that when we are picking the places where we are going to put those murals, please pick up places where you see too many bad graffitis are there. And if we replace those graffitis with good murals, then we have a better chance of beautification of the campus, as Mr. Mayor just mentioned. So that's all.
That's the whole idea, yeah.
Okay, any further debate, councillors? No, I'll put the motion, all those in favour, unanimous. Okay, item CS1,
I move it.
council resolution, moved by councillor Fenton, seconder,
Second.
councillor Hall. Okay, any further debate?
No.
No, motion?
Just, Mr. Mayor, just to comment, it's going too fast for me.
Too fast?
Too fast. Here, John.
Nearly 8 o'clock.
What I was going to suggest
We
is
get there
that
for the pub shop.
this is a good report, and I think this should be an ongoing part of regular reporting, so that we have an ongoing view of what is coming and what is happening.
But this part every month.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's all right.
Every month there, councillor.
We made that resolution last council, councillor Data. Yep.
Thank you.
We brought that in for you.
Yes, councillor Murray.
Before you did, we really passed that motion.
Pardon? We haven't.
We're passing now.
Do we want to vote? Yes. So I'll put the motion, everyone in favour?
CS1.
Unanimous?
Yeah.
Okay, CS2, quarterly budget review, mover, councillor Data, seconder, councillor Maswan. Any debate?
I have a question, Mr. Mayor, I was going through these figures, and just a query that I'm looking at this rates and the user fees and other figures. I'm thinking that could we make a presentation on the net present value of this thing for projection for next 3 or 5 years? Because it doesn't show. So what I would like to see is the projection of net present value for next 3 or 5 years, please. Because that will be tied back with the rates and everything other things that we might consider later on. And the other question that I have is, I think I can, when I was looking at the various rates that we are getting from our investment, I think the net present value of this thing for projection for next 3 or 5 years, because this doesn't show. So what I would like to see is the projection of net present value for next 3 or 5 years, please.
Yes, councillor Murray.
And my question is that I think I can get.
Councillor,
Yeah.
I think you're, on the right report, I think you're.
Oh, no, sorry, yeah, it's a different one, sorry, next.
Okay, we're in the quarterly budget review.
Thank you, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, that's all.
Any further debate, councillors? Councillor Hall? Yes.
Francis, just a bit, everyone said Francis can see.
Yep. Yes, Councillor Hall has a question.
So I'm just wondering with, the notes. So what I can't quite see is which note corresponds to, so you've got here 800 for buildings.
Which page?
Which
So
page are you on, Councillor?
61,
Yep.
there is land and buildings 800 variation. And so then you go to page 62. So normally when you do, when you do the accounts, you put the note numbers next to it. So I'm just checking. So you're saying that where's the note for that 800?
Which one are you saying? The land and buildings, Councillor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What,
Land and
63?
buildings, no, land and buildings, page 61.
oh,
The, second point down, new assets. Is that right, Councillor?
So
Variation there.
Yeah, still variation.
because when I add them,
This page 61.
Page 61, new assets, land and buildings, variation for December quarter, 800.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The
Your question?
variations that you see on the way we do it, is by the actual project, not by asset classes. Yeah, so that's basically what's on page 62.
So I
So
think
if
what,
you look at the total, 2.4 million.
yeah, so what I'm
so I think
still,
what council also asking about is, what, can you give a breakdown of what that's made up of?
yeah, so normally, the note number goes next to the, so which note go with the 800?
So, it's what's on page 62? Yeah.
So is that note number 2, note number 3, note number 4, and note number 6? Are they the ones that go with that one? Because if they do, they don't quite add up. So I'm just trying to, yeah. So you see what I'm saying? Like, building, note number 2.
he doesn't see what you're saying.
So that's land and buildings variation.
What I'm trying to explain is, that particular statement we're looking at is based on asset class, but our note is based on project. Within a project, it could be affecting a few asset classes. I could give you a breakdown for it, but as part of this report, it does not do that.
Oh, okay. Could you,
We reported based on, because our project, say for instance, we could be working on a part that affects land and also building. The project could be a combination of different asset classes. So that's how we define it within our reporting system. But on the other side, in terms of the fixed asset itself, we just taken bits and pieces out of the project to say a total of 800,000 is made up of buildings.
but I can't tell from that which project is a variation.
Yeah, I could give you a breakdown for that.
Yeah.
I cannot
That's
provide.
what we need a breakdown of the, with what project.
Yeah. I think Councillor, I don't know, I had an appointment, so I know the CFO did make himself available.
At
Sorry,
4
something
o'clock
has to
today.
work.
Yeah.
Something has to work.
Okay, so I'm treating it there, so we're happy to take this on notice.
Yes, we'll take
it.
Francis can provide you a
Thank you.
breakdown. So we'll
Thank you.
provide a breakdown.
If you could provide the breakdown for the annual assets as well, like, I think.
Any further debate?
I can read accounts, so I need more information.
There's the 2 pages provided.
Any further debate or questions, councillors? No, I'll put the report. All those in favour? Unanimous? Yeah. Investment report, January 2022, CS3. A mover,
I'll move that.
Councillor Hall. Seconder, Councillor Reddy. Debate councillors. Councillor Dale, I think this is the one you want to ask a question on.
Thank you, it is a very good memory. I really appreciate that.
It's very excellent memory.
Yeah. Now, I think I know the answer, but I just wanted to reconfirm that I see that the interest rate these days on various amounts are significantly different. Now, what are the bottlenecks to make it more consistent and get the best value? What is stopping us from streamlining all the investments and to get the best value? Like, I can see that the interest rate is going to go up soon again, and if we are stuck for 10 years with 0.5 percentage of interest return, then we are not doing the best service to the district. So, what are the, I'm asking for some options from the officers to tell how we can, given that the change, there is going to be dramatic changes in interest rate, what are the options for us to get a better return for our investment? Because this now rates are very low.
There's a question to the Councillor.
Yeah.
Just in response to the chair, so how the investment is done, two of the documents that we follow is, one is our municipal order, which was of 2009, where it restricts council certain investment that we can get into. The other is through our investment policy, which outlines our compliance with the credit rating, maturity, and the institutions that we can invest in. So in answer to your question of why they vary, it's at different timelines that this investment has been taking place. And one of the things that we look at in terms of investment is cash flow. We need to understand when the business is going to require cash into the business. It's based on how rate and annual charges income coming on a quarterly basis. So those are the ones where we don't really need to align any of our investments to flow in at that time. So if you look at it, it ranges from 270 days to anywhere to 1,800 days. So when we determine that we've got $10 million in cash that we're not going to really need until 2-3 years down the track, we go long term. So if we have accounted for cash flow within the next few years, we keep it short term. So there's a few factors that go in, and we always go for the best interest rate. And the other thing that we have to look at the credit rating with our investment policy identifies a limit on our credit rating that we can go by. So anything that is above A rated, we can have 100% of investment in it. But anything that's B, for example, B plus rated, we can have over 30-35% invested. And we also have a benchmark or limit based on different institutions that there's a certain limit that we can invest in different institutions based on their credit rating. So that's
Thank you. So, through Mr. Mayor as well, like that, what Francis has said, in that, after the Layman's fiasco, where the councils lost a lot of money, these investment order came into place for all councils. And I suppose it does force councils to be fairly conservative in how they invest money. And obviously, interest rates are at a record low at the moment, and it is a challenge for Francis to do his best. But I suppose on the officers over the ledger, it's just this small time that we can borrow money should we need to leverage for projects and so forth. So it's always a two-edged sword, isn't it?
Thank you, Acting GM. No one, any further debate, councillors? No, I put the motion. Unanimous. Okay. And we move on to our reports.
I'll second that.
One.
I'll second that. I'll move it.
Councillor Hall moved. Seconder.
I second.
Councillor Dara.
Councillor Dara.
Okay. Anyone want to speak on the council movement?
You moving? You speaking?
Okay. No, I think it's fine that the report be, that's fine, I'm happy with the recommendation.
Okay.
What are the recommendations?
Receive another report, continue with extensive waste education program and work towards, a zero waste by 2026.
Do you think we should reduce that to 2030?
Or councillor, you can, if you want to put an amendment up, that's up to you.
Yeah, could I put an amendment up?
What's your amendment?
Isn't 2036 what, I think that's isn't that the industry sort of standard, everybody, every
No, that's the, state waste policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
Zero
You
waste
can't
by
change
2030.
yes. Just,
Well, we can change it here.
you don't get any brownie points for that.
Well, I think we could, sorry.
Deputy Mayor, you making an amendment or?
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment to bring that back to 2025.
Not accepted. Let's just leave it move on.
Let's bargain, 2030.
It's getting late, let's move on. No, leave it 36, because that is the state aid.
See?
Yeah, you can always do
We're
it.
going to work towards 2030.
Yeah, but you have to be able to make it realistic, so leave
It
it
was
36.
realistic.
And then council can, Mr. Clemens is working very, very hard to do this, so.
I understand that, and I really totally agree with it, but I think we should be working a little bit harder and making our residents work harder in helping our circular economy. And I won't say, if you've voted it down, that's
Should
fine.
reject the,
You're rejecting it.
amendment, councillor Hall, like to say 2036.
If it was,
Okey dokey.
if there was no standard, any authority over us, I would change it, but because there is.
Okay.
But we are our own authority.
Okay, we'll just leave it.
We are.
Any further debate, councillors?
Nah.
No, I'll put the motion. In favour? Unanimous? Okay, Strathfield Council Carbon Footprint, DEU2, do I have a mover? Councillor Reddy, seconded by Councillor Data. Okay. Any debate, councillors? No, I'll put the motion. Councillor Kai? Hello? Yes? Unanimous? DEU3, electric vehicles, mover. Councillor Reddy, seconded. Councillor Pennsylvania. Any further debate, councillors?
So we receive and note the report. I think it's quite, it's actually the best way to go at this stage.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit much to ask for us to all to go to electric vehicles, as we don't have the charging stations that's required, and EV vehicles.
If I can just get some commentary from the Deputy CEO just about some of our vehicles probably that can't. There are some vehicles probably we can't actually have, or it's difficult to have the electric vehicles, so we've got hybrids and things like that.
Yeah, true. Our 50% of our light fleet are now hybrid vehicles, which has been, if you remember right, as a council resolution about 18 months ago.
Yep.
It's about 50%. There's more electric vehicles coming online all the time. We're looking at them. We've cut out nearly all the petrol vehicles, so those who need to be of petrol are diesel, not petrol, so that's also given us the saving. We haven't looked at the electric vehicles, we just had a look at the Kia, the V6, but they're nearly $83,000. The Tesla 3 is $67,000, and there's no discount for council. And when we buy on a council fleet, we need to go to New South Wales fleet procurement policy. We need to take the vehicle from them, and electric vehicles aren't on there yet. So we're just keeping an eye on them. I think that as the charges get faster, and then I think we'll get
easier.
There'll be more. You know, I read the articles today that there's Peugeot and Renault and Volvo. They're all going electric within the year. All their new vehicles electric. So once that comes out and the charges are fast charge, I think that we will gradually get to that. We've got our first electric garbage truck coming.
Where it's going to be installed?
Sorry?
Where it's going to be installed?
Yeah. Well, look, the electric truck we had last year, it's built by Nino overseas. We had it 3 months. It's a really terrific truck. It's only 8 cubic metres, so it does the smaller box units. That's been ordered for nearly a year. It'll be a year by the time we get it. It is $100,000 zero than a normal garbage truck, but zero. It should be delivered to council in May. either way. We're gradually getting there, so I think we've done a pretty good job with the.
EVs.
Yeah, thank you.
And we should review this every year then. Yep.
Yeah,
Any further debates, councillor? Councillor Data?
Mr. Mayor, I think I agree with what Mr. Khalil said. At this point in time, there is a big difference here, and I think if we keep on monitoring, say, every year, or something similar, then we will get a mark better than. Thank you.
Thank you. Further debate, councillors? No, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Unanimous. Okay, DEU 4, Cook Sugar Corridor, moved by councillor Reddy, seconded by councillor Pentabini. Okay, any discussion, councillors? Debate? No, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Yep. Councillor Kai, you with us? Yep. Unanimous. Okay. Homebush West traffic study, moved by councillor Mahaswaran,
Mr. Mayor,
seconded councillor Reddy.
Mr. Mayor, I move not to receive the report, refer it back and ask for more detail of the quotations that we sought, as well as the terms of reference that have been provided to those traffic engineering firms, if we could, so we can get an understanding of the scope of people out there.
Yep. Report be referred back to council officers for
More information.
more detailed.
To be advised that the report be referred back to council officers for details of the quotations from engineering firms. That have been sought, and the terms of reference on which those quotations were sought.
So I think it's just Mr. McQueen, I think it's the last bit, terms of reference on which the quotes were sold. Is that correct, councillor Mahaswaran?
Correct.
Yep. Okay. Councillor Data, debate.
Mr. Mayor, I think when I was reading this, one thing I remembered that you took some initiative to log some of the trees around the area. And I think that.
The council did it.
Yeah, I mean, you took the initiative and we all supported
I
it.
can see him that there with you.
So, I'm looking at the cost involved.
Yes.
1 million, I'm just thinking that maybe what the action on the particular motion has been taken, maybe we should review the lighting, because I know from my street, look at my street, I know the trees are blocking a lot of light. So if we go through the logging process, I probably think that the illumination in many areas will be far better than what it is now. So I'm just asking, or requesting you all to consider that first let us go through the process of the tree logging process and see what the impact is, and then we take this task on hand, because the cost involved is quite significant, and that's my request to all of you to consider. Okay.
Okay, so you're happy with the recommendation as the...
Yeah, recommendation, I'm happy with the recommendation, but I'm saying that we would not go for any action spending all that money until we have evaluated the impact of the tree logging process that you have already put in place. We have supported it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, councillor Data. Any further debate, councillors? Close?
What's that?
Everything's closed?
No closing statement? No? Everything's good? Okay, vote.
Yes.
Yep, that's good. You put the motion?
Yes.
Data? Yep, unanimous. Okay, DEU 6, safety outdoor dining, mover, councillor Hall, seconded, councillor Data. Okay.
So, just a question, sorry. So if,
Yes, councillor.
sorry, if a restaurant wants, or a business they need to make an application, then the council will consider the extension of existing car sign blower. So
through my understanding, but obviously through to the my understanding is that if there's we're happy to work with the businesses if they are going to have dining on the
street,
corners and actually have book outdoor dining on those corners.
right?
That we would council will consider putting those black bollards similar to the crossing
Right.
there.
And so the restaurant needs to
moment,
make an application, is that right?
If they put an application for the outdoor dining.
Oh, right.
We'll do that automatically.
Right, okay, so, and what about the existing restaurants, Mr. Clement?
I don't know why they've already got them after them.
Well, they haven't got, it's
It's on the corner.
on the corner.
No,
Yeah.
they're just off.
Huh?
Up the street for a bar there, and down the street for walking and,
They haven't got the,
they haven't got any more.
well, you want ball out with the tables right now.
I think that's not.
That was the whole
Back to
idea.
the door, back to the door.
That wasn't.
Can I change the recommendation?
Yeah, goes back to
This
council.
one,
The recommendation is the corner.
Yeah.
So we went to the
That's
corner.
right.
So if you want me to have a look at this, let me have a look at that for you, I'll come back.
Thank you.
I'll come back. If the council wishes to carry this, to revise that the policy, I'll come back to a workshop with this policy and extension of the bylaw, where the seating is there.
I think that's why Councillor Hall's motion did say to come to a workshop, so I think it would have been good if it came to the workshop, and then we could have had a bit more discussion.
And I'll put that extra.
We'll bring it in the workshop,
I
yeah.
was gonna ask the question later, but thank you.
Okay, any
That's all
further debate, councillors, about this one? No, put the motion.
Sorry. Put your hand up now.
Councillor, Councillor?
Sharangan.
Yeah, just put the motion.
Put your hand up.
Thank you.
Been a motion, move this one.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Nighttime safety, DEU 7, have a mover.
Hell.
Councillor Hall, seconder. Councillor Pennsylvania. Any further debate, councillors?
Yeah, just, sorry, question. So my question is, so one of the ones that isn't listed is the new one on Hamish Road. So may I please, through the chair, ask, hang on, there is number 2 in Hamish Road. So
I believe they have put the,
light?
the,
I haven't seen any lights on that.
no, I saw it yesterday.
I haven't
We're down near Churchill Avenue.
No,
near,
where
Council Hall.
the Strathfield Park is.
Oh, the new
Just
pedestrian.
Through the chairs, yeah.
CEO.
Are there lights on that new
Once
pedestrian crossing
they've
yet?
been installed, I'll have a look at it.
Okay, thank you. I haven't been there the last.
I think it was 2 LED solar lights.
Yeah.
And, sorry, can I just ask a question
Thank you.
or make a comment? Yeah, just the pedestrian crossing on Underwood Road, that really needs to be illuminated because there was a new case accident there for me the other night. Someone was crossing with dark clothes, could not see them, couldn't see them, and it was very, very close. That was bad.
Okay.
I nearly lost my life.
No further debate. Put the motion. The
Councillor?
motion. Unanimous. Okay. DEU 8, now we have an amended DEU 8 that's different to the business paper.
Because it's printed wrong, that's all.
Yes, that's a bit of, bit
Okay.
longer.
It's
just
Mr. There, we just, unfortunately, there
was
was
a
just a
printing
mistake that
problem.
we'd, copied and pasted on Mr. Davis. Councillor Davis, so the motion is this report somehow.
So this is the new
So the
report.
recommendation's the same. Do I have a mover?
Ready.
Sandy, Councillor Reddy.
And I second it.
Seconded by Councillor Pensalini. Any debate, councillors?
Just a question, we'll go first.
Us? Councillor Dale.
When I look at the numbers, there are always 6, I just wondering why are there all 6?
What do you mean?
6 poles.
Why 6 poles? Why everybody needs 6 poles?
Oh,
So that is adding to the cost.
Yeah, I think the report, said that the idea about it is you, for branding, you'll have up to 4 to 6 pulled together to create an image, to really, brand that location. Sort of like they do in the city where you've got, the whole street along Hyde Park will be one banner image running down the whole street. So it's to give some effect of the branding. But obviously we look at each
The
location.
Homewood West Community Centre, we are talking about 6 at the cost of 2,050 each.
Yes.
And I was not sure whether in Homewood West Community Centre, which is a two-front, and the other things, I'm not, I'm just asking.
Look, councillor, if you want to change it, we can change it.
See, I thought 6 for small places, like a Best Street Community Centre. Why would we need 6 poles around Best Street Community Centre? I think it is a bit too much.
Really?
I think, looking at the cost and all that, total cost adds up to a significant amount of money. So I thought that we might like to review the number of 6 everywhere, like it's a bit.
We can review the number.
Yeah.
Happy to come back at a future
Yeah.
workshop, if this gets funding. This is being referred to next year's budget, the report. And as we roll them out, we can let councillors know what locations we're planning and how many.
Yep, so this is the maximum amount that you think that we would need, and
So
we can only get a reduction in cost?
Councillor Data's right in terms of the 2 community centres.
Yeah.
Similar thing, so $72,000 is a bit of money.
Okay. So do you want to amend that, councillor Data, or are you happy with the recommendation as is?
I think what Mr. Newton suggested, that you come with a revised recommendation, and we will do that and approve for future action.
So we'll put
I think it was
And amended recommendation.
Yeah.
So point 3, what would it?
To discuss at a councillor workshop, review the funding,
number of poles.
the amount.
review the locations and the installation plans at a future council workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get that, Mr. McLean?
Because our staff we're trying to get a report back to you quickly.
Yeah, it's good.
I say also put, just so that I don't forget, or somebody doesn't know, location, installation, and number of poles. That's the key, number of.
Installation is number of poles.
Installation can mean many things to many people.
Yeah, so relocation is installation terms. So you want to have a wording there which says number.
Pole
of-
numbers, pole numbers, number of poles for each location. For each location.
You ready to go?
Yep.
My principal issue with what's been provided is that I can't make much sense of the QS of holes and the figures, because the expectation would be that there would be some component for supply cost, labour cost, and some logical basis for how these holes are being assessed. So things such height, width, and things of that nature. So I just feel that there's insufficient detail, at least for what I would like to expect in this kind of report. And perhaps when we say to review the locations and whole numbers, we'll just also provide specifications of or further detail of the expenditure as well.
Okay, so we just add that to 3, or do you want to make it a 4?
I think 3 would be fine.
Yeah, so do you just fix that wording?
File numbers, installation plans, and what's the other wording in council on that one?
Specifications of flags,
Specifications,
poles and flags,
Specifications of the road to be installed.
specifications,
labour cost.
bracket, including labour and supply costs.
Are you happy with that, councillor? Ready?
Yeah.
Councillor Vincentini?
Yep.
Yes. Any further debate, councillors? No? Put the motion. Unanimous? Okay. People play civic, nil. Matters of urgency, nil. And no politicians.
I was really
Okay, I declare the meeting closed.
Before you close the meeting.
Matter of emergency.
No, it's not a matter of emergency, it's in the previous council meeting minutes, which I should have dealt with when we read it. I just noticed that,
Yeah.
through the course of today, on the declaration of my pecuniary conflict of interest, it notes and this is on page 6 of the agenda. The council master has a professional client who resides nearby to this location. I believe my declaration, as well as what's reflected in the recording, is that I declare the professional client who owns property nearby this junction, and I'd like the minute amended.
Yeah, so do you want to resubmit the minutes?
Yes.
If you could just carefully, just mark up exactly how you want us to record it. Sure.
Page 6?
Page 6, yeah, it's the last one.
Yep.
Yeah, that was what was written on your declaration, councillor.
Whatever was written on your declaration.
I don't believe that's supposed to, I'll check that.
What did you want changed?
Oh, for those words to be amended, so which says, has a professional client who resides nearby this junction, it should read who owns property nearby this junction.
Oh, who owns property?
Okay. So, just on page 6, which is the.
Yeah, that's right.
Are you happy for the acting GM and deputy CEO to make sure that's
Amended.
appropriately?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll declare the meeting closed at 8:15 PM.